They had one tree on the whole compound. And God let me know he was really real. When I passed that tree, God shouted at me.
Hmm.
He said, boy, I take care of my business. I'm going to take care of yours.
Welcome to Jesus in the Upper Left, where we're talking about gospel multiplication in the Pacific Northwest.
Hey, welcome in again to Jesus in the Upper Left. We're so glad to have you. My name's Tim Osborne. I'm with Western Seminary, and I get to do another session here with...
I'm Oshawa Hawthorne, Executive Director of Brilliance Labs, and stoked to be with you, Tim, and our guest today.
We are uniquely privileged to welcome in one of the things that we get to do here is just tell stories of what God's doing in the Pacific Northwest, and we just have a special treat today. We're going to hear some pretty amazing ways that God is working through the life and ministry of Pastor Clifford Jones. And we're so excited to have you on here. I actually learned about you through a man that you have invested in and mentored,
Yes.
who is now actually going to seminary. And so, but before we get to him and your current ministry, can you just kind of back up and tell us your journey, your testimony, your story of life and meeting Jesus?
Well, the first thing you have to know is my story was leading me crazy in this world. And then when God intervened in my story, that's when the power came. You know, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. My story starts bad, really. My story started out when I was in Louisiana State Penitentiary. And go to Louisiana at that time, Louisiana State Penitentiary was the bloodiest penitentiary in America. I had a 50-year sentence, day for day. I was supposed to get out of jail until I was like 87 years old. In Louisiana held them type of sentences. And I was mad, disgusted. I knew of God because I come from the Bible Belt. They had church on every corner, ballroom on the next. But I was walking the yard in one of the bloodiest penitentiaries in America. And I was mad and disgusted. Really, that time my life was thrown away. I couldn't be trusted. And I was just walking the yard. They had one tree on the whole compound. And God let me know he was really real. When I passed that tree, God shouted at me. He said, boy, I take care of my business. I'm going to take care of yours. I thought I was going crazy because I was mad at that time. I knew of this Jesus, and I thought he was just a fake. So I walked the yard again. When I came back to that tree, he shouted at me, called me a name that he knew it would make me mad. He called me boy. He said, boy, take care of my business. I want to take care of yours. So I knew he was real then. I walked to the iron pile. And all the dudes who've been there with me all the time. And I told them, I said, y'all know that Jesus dude that our grandma and them our mom and them was trying to scream with? I said, he's for real. And they said, no, not you, Cliff. Anybody but you. Make a long story short, God sent New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary into that prison. I became one of their first graduates. I served in the minister in that prison for 13 years. Started a church inside that prison, and God delivered me. He delivered me after 13 years. I pastored 2 churches in New Orleans when I got out. St. John Baptist Church, and I was prison pastor of River of Life Worship Center. And God kicked me from there 3,000 miles to the northwest. God got jokes. But I promise God, I'm telling you, culture shock, culture change. I'm from
Little bit.
I'm from the inner cities, you know?
Yeah.
But I love God. I love ministry. You know? That's who I am. I believe ministry is relationship. Ministry just not preaching to people. True, true ministry is hand on hand.
Mm.
Could you share a little bit more? You mentioned you had a 50-year sentence,
Yes.
and then you met Jesus. You went to seminary while you were there in prison, and then how did God open the prison doors for you? And
God has such a way that He does something that He'll let you know it nobody but Him.
Mm.
I pastored a church inside of Angola, Christian Unity Fellowship, as I was in the inmate minister. You know? And it wasn't until I really was molded enough and bold enough to tell God, Lord, is this my life? If you want me to just be in this prison and serve you in this prison, it's all right.
Mm.
And I didn't have nothing in court because all my paperwork had run out. All my appeals and stuff had run out. I was just stuck there. And God had, it was unheard of. He had the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal send me a letter when that wasn't in court. It said they found a patent error on record in my sentence and vacated my sentence. They sent me back to the judge.
So you got a letter
Yeah,
that said, we're vacating
it's
your
a
sentence.
because they found something that I didn't even file for them to look for.
Yeah.
And the judge
Wild.
took the multi-bill off me. Yeah, gave me credit for time, sir.
How many years did you serve of that 50?
12 and a half, close to 13. And
Wow.
And when did you meet Jesus in that
I met
12 and a half, 13 years?
I met Jesus at that tree. I'm serious. That's when I knew there's such a thing as knowing of God.
Mm.
And truly knowing God. There's such a thing as I believe Jesus. No, I know Jesus. Mm. If you ever moved from that point of elementary faith for walking around saying, well, I believe Jesus in this and I believe Jesus. No, I know. Gnosko. The Gnosko was knowledge obtained from experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
Man.
yeah, you have to have the type of ministry that I do, that you got to have real faith. You can't hypocrite this thing. I'm just saying. I'm sorry, brother.
That's good. I'm gonna write that. You can't hypocrite this thing. That's I want to steal that for like a subtitle for ministry in the Northwest. That's good. You can't hypocrite this thing.
You can't, man.
Was there anybody that did you have a mentor, a pastor
Yes.
in prison that was with you?
My biggest mentor was the dean of this Bible College Extension Center of NOBTS, Dr. Robertson, Dr. John Robeson. He was awesome. And he's still my mentor. You know, he would walk in that. He told me I had to be better than good. I was in penitentiary. I was representing the prominent Bible college, one of the second prominent Bible colleges in the United States. He said, you have to be, and I was a convict, and I was a black man. He said, you had to be better than that to hold this degree. And he pushed me. He just used to walk on the board, look straight at me and write something on the board like anthropomorphism. And he turn around now, Clifford, what that mean? That was him, you know, and he'd been my ride for a while. You know. Him, few more pastors, Pastor Bobby Reddy from River Life Worship Center, good friend of mine who passed, one of my main mentor, Dr. Donald Boutique from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm going to tell you like this. If you're going to grow men and walk with men, you better be walking with some men.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Wait, if you're going to walk with men, you better be walking with some men.
If you're going to grow a man, you yourself
to.
have to be walking with some men.
If you're going to lead, you got to know how to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
You meet Jesus, your life's transformed inside the bloodiest prison in the U.S. You lead a church in the prison.
Yeah.
You get a seminary degree in the prison.
Yes.
You go and pastor 2 other churches in Louisiana.
Yes.
And then God calls you to a new neighborhood.
So Oregon.
Okay, tell us that story. Tell us that story.
This is embarrassing to me, but I ain't gonna lie. When they offered me that, I had to look at the map for Oregon. I forgot where it was.
It's good.
But the story, like Dr. James Gleason, he was the head lead pastor at Sunrise Church in Hillsborough. And Judge Tom Cole, he was the senior judge of Washington County. They went to Angola to see the program that changed Angola. Yes. And Pastor James asked Dr. Roberson, she was the dean of the Bible college, for one of the best prison ministers to bring up to Oregon. Dr. Roberson told him, you got to see Clifford. But I was out already for about 7 years. I had 2 churches. They went to Burl County, the warden. Him and Judge Cole. Judge Cole asked him who was the best prison minister, because I was still coming inside of Angola with my ministry teams, with the little church I had already, inside Angola also. And he told me, you got to go to Clifford. And when they asked me that, I happened to look Oregon. I just got remarried. I just got married. How can I tell my wife now, look, we go on leave and orders and go to Oregon? But God, man, God got funny. God kept kicking at me, because this was a unique church. God, he told me, say, you promise me to go wherever I lead. And I knew better than to mess with God again. So I come up here, I took over Light My Way Church. Light My Way Church is a unique church. It's 18 and over. I signed out 20 to 30, 35, what they call them up here, AICs from the rec center. They almost out. So I signed them out every week. And they come to my church. Got them on an honor system. They get blue slips from the jail. They catch the max. And they come to my church. They let them out a certain time. They got to be in front of my door for 3 o'clock. I take these slips. I'm responsible for them from 3 o'clock to 5:30. When I stamp the slips and send it back, and they got X amount of time to go back to jail. I have an 18 and over soldier because we might have sex offenders or something. I come in there. I believe that we as a church should serve our community. If we stop serving our community, we no longer become the church. We become a social club. I don't deal with social clubs. So,
amen.
I do what I call our community meal. From 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I serve a huge meal for those in jail and for the homeless and stuff around the area and for my people. I believe that that if we can't break bread together, and if I can't just sit down and have an eye-to-eye conversation with you, I ain't got no business preaching to you.
Man. So did you know that this was going to be the vision and structure for the church when you got invited out? Were they telling you, hey, come and pastor this church, come do
No,
prison ministry? Or did this vision evolve and grow as you were here?
It grew. When I got here, it wasn't a church. It was like a social club.
Okay.
They'll come, they eat, they gather. And they wasn't supporting themselves. They wasn't an organized church. I had organized for a church. I knew how to organize a church. I knew what a church should be. Now, right now, like my way is thriving. We got our own 501c3. We got my own governance board. And ordain our ministers, deacons. It's what God do.
What changed? Like, how did you showed up and saw that it needed to be something more? What was that process like, and how did you lead through that?
Anytime as a pastor, anytime you come and table with another church, you will have someone want to run it. You have, the problems of the pastor. You're going to have someone who's going to stay and someone want to go.
Yeah.
Majority of them going to say, well, we used to do it this way. And you got to be nice enough to say, yes, that's why I'm here, because you used to do it this way, and that way it wasn't working. I'm a pastor. I'm sorry. I love you, but you're going to go God's way or no way. I can't help it. It's just who God made me.
Yeah.
And I established some strong young men I've invested in. In order to lead many, you have to learn from Jethro, what Jethro told Moses. You got to train some men. And you have to put them things in order. And you got to bring reverence back to the church.
Can you tell us what does that look like when you walk into a context, and you've done it over and over, it sounds like, with many men, when you begin a kind of a discipling and leadership development, mentoring relationship with a young man, whatever it might be, how do you approach that? How do you do that? What does that look like?
How can I say? That's why I kind of like being raised the way I was raised in inner cities and stuff. I learned in through jails, really, certain processes is a man gonna respect a man. In order to get respect, you have to learn to give respect. You get more respect, I've learned, when you can look a man in his eye and tell him the truth. Whether you love him, whether he's doing right or he's doing wrong. But you got to build a relationship enough where it's vice versa. I respect you enough where you can tell me what you want with that. If you see me all cross, I respect you enough that you should be comfortable enough with me, because we are all men, that you could tell me anything you feeling that's making you feel better. And I'm man enough to tell you the same. And if I don't get my men to that point, they can't leave. Because it's going to take a man to grow another spiritual man. I tell them all the time, before you fix your mouth before me and tell me you are a man of God, the first thing I must see first that you're a grown man.
Yeah. I love that men create men.
Yeah.
Right? When you have a culture of that in your church, in your discipleship relationships, guys, you're going to reproduce what you are, and they see that, and that's what changes them.
Yeah. So that's ministry. And now I'm involved. I've been pastoring since 1994, and I had to evolve from pastoring men inside of Angola that would probably make Charles Manson look like a Boy Scout. Yeah. To coming out here with 2 different churches. Now, the Kingsborough was God sent me back to St. John, which was right in the old neighborhood, 3 blocks from where I grew up at. And when I grew up, how can I say it? I wasn't your average teenager. My dad left at 9 years old. We had 7 miles to feed in the city. My mom had a $1.35 hour job at the sewing factory, Rudder Rex, down in Nigeria. I started hustling early. 11 years old, I was selling drugs. Been through boys' homes, back to back, jails, So that's why I learned my principles at. God allowed me to grow up like that, to store some things in me, some mortal backbone.
So I'm curious, how does your church either partner with other churches or ministries, either ministries within the prisons, or other churches that are not the, like, hey, we're 18 plus, we're ministering to this specific group of people? What does that look like when somebody says, hey, I'm a dad, husband, father, I have some kids, how can I serve you, get involved? Or maybe it's a single person that doesn't have a incarceration background, but they love what they're doing. What does that partnership and involvement look like from other folks in the city?
Great question, because I have people who have not been to jail come to my service all the way from Portland, who have not spent a lick in jail. I have women who don't know what jail look like. I'm just trying to get them in the habit of jail ministry. I got them working now with the homeless and on that Union Gospel Mission. People just love the ministry. And God gonna bring people where they feel home. And you get a Christian who really been changed of God. They're not coming to church for entertainment. They coming to church to be the church. To love on somebody. That's why I say I'm Southern Baptist. I'm not Cedric the entertainer. When you walk in my service, don't expect to get Cedric to entertain. I lay before God constantly to get a word from my people. So if I take that pulpit, I'm not there to entertain you. I'm there to give you what God has given me all and will help your life. Sometimes it don't feel right. Sometimes it might get tight. But I'm there to help your life. Live better, walk in your strength, walk in your victory.
Is there a story that stands out to you that you could share of someone with just a rough, broken background that Jesus radically saved?
Yes. I got this one dude coming to the church now. I'm not going to say his name, but I'm going to just say Jay. He's in a wheelchair. Got some mental disorder. He was an SO and he's there on parole and stuff. And the parole officer, because I work closely with the parole officers and with their parole officers, with their counselors and stuff. He was antisocial. but he had nowhere to go. The parole officer was scared to let him come and light my way because she didn't know whether we can handle him. I finally talked him into letting him come. He was all right. My people started to love him. He used to come there and get his coffee, but he wouldn't come in the service. He just get it, you eat, get some coffee, just take his wheelchair to be outside the service. He wouldn't come in the service. And my people said, Jeff, he ain't coming in the service. I said, leave him alone. Let him stay there. Leave him there. He come in the service when his time comes. One day, he start easing in. And the next day he came to me and he said, Pastor, you can't talk right. I need to talk to you. I said, well, what's that? Because he's the only person he got is mama. His mama was 87 years old. And he lives in this, like a sober living house. And he came to me and said, I need to say something, Pastor. I said, what, man? He said, my mom came up to see me, but she fell. He said, I couldn't get up and nobody could hear me. So I kept crying and calling for somebody to help me. He said, you know what then, Pastor? I said, what, man? Then I prayed. You see, when I prayed, they came and got my mama. And ever since then, I baptized him about 3 weeks ago. Ever since then, he's been easing in the service. Now he's got his wheelchair up at the front row every time. That's what I'm talking about, transformation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps me in this ministry.
Yeah. This is awesome. So I got one more question, and then I know, Tim, you got a good buddy that you wanted to chat about too that knows Clifford. I mean, my question would be, if you're willing to put on like the man-to-man real talk for a moment, for let's say the pastor that's just kind of comfortable, a little likes his comfortable suburban church, and we like keeping things clean and tidy, and the whole thought of like inviting in a bunch of formerly incarcerated men or homeless or sex offenders, like it just sounds like, oh, I'm glad someone's doing it, but we couldn't do that around here. Like, do you have either a word of encouragement or challenge for taking a radical step to say we're going to try to minister to the harder people on the wrong side of the tracks?
All I can say is this. I'm not going to say this nice. Jesus came, and they said he was friend of the sinners. He sat with the harlots. He loved on the least, the last, and the lost. We are the ecclesia. We are the body of Christ. And Jesus is our head. And to believe in Jesus and to know Jesus is something else. I know Jesus' character because he loved me. I know what he would be doing because he did it for me. Now, anybody else don't like it, I suggest, and I love them, but you got to get on your knees and get comfortable with Jesus. I don't know. I guess, I hope I'm not odd or made different, but I just love God, man. And I'm going to do what God tell me to do, even in my uncomfortability. A whole lot of things God tell me to do, I'm uncomfortable with. I was uncomfortable coming all the way up here.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Once you found him.
yeah, sometimes you got to get out your own uncomfortable zone, man, and do what God say do. I praise Pastor James Gleason. He got out of his uncomfortable zone and he started this ministry. I always stand on his shoulders.
He's a good brother.
Yeah.
That's so well said. Thank you. We need to hear that. And yeah, just as you're describing Light My Way, and I'm a little bit familiar. I haven't been in person, but I'm a little bit familiar through Antonio.
Yeah. It's a good brother.
Just and talk about your line earlier. If you're gonna lead men, you've got to be with some men.
Yeah.
He's obviously you've modeled that and lived that, and now you've repeated that with him, and now he's doing the very thing that you did. He's doing it. But I was just going to say, from what I do know and what you've described today, is just that is the kind of, and what you just said, that's the kind of thing that Jesus did, would do, and calls us to do. And so it was really well said.
Yeah.
You took a moment to say, how can I say this? Excellent. Starting with Jesus and pointing us to Jesus yet again is what we need. And thank you.
Yeah.
Tell us, I got to know Antonio when he joined a cohort at Western, but will you tell us what you can just about your experience with him, what you know of him, and just what that means? He seems to embody the vision that you have for Light My Way. Would love to hear about that.
Don't sell the brother short. He may be short in stature, but he's big on Jesus. I gotta tell you that.
Yes.
I love Antonio. Antonio come through some hard times.
Yeah.
Like many young men. He recognized the hard time. He recognized his part in the hard time. And that's the number one key to total recovery. You recognize your part in your hard time. God didn't put me there. No, God allowed you to get there. And right now, he's just thirsty for the word. He's grown in his ability to disciple. He's still growing in some areas. And that's okay. God does that to young pastors. They still have to grow in some areas. You have strong in one area and weak in another till it all blends out. The major characteristic that I would say about Antonio is his faithfulness. If he set his mind to it and he promised to do it, you can bet he's going to do it. That's what I really admire about him, his faithfulness. The scripture always come to mind when I see him. It's, make a vow to God, make sure you pay that vow. And that is, God has blessed him with knowledge, blessed him coming back up, steady, climbing spiritually, understanding scripture more, being able to, this is what I like. When I see men being transformed, and as I look in their spiritual maturity, I watch, I kind of want to see what the naked eyes can't see. I watch for the way God takes and like squeeze their heart. God will squeeze their heart and squeeze some characteristics out there, but he'll do it through trials. In the young men's lives. And when they're going through that, I'm just like to sit there beside them and recognize them as they go through this. you know, and guide them through that. And that's where the growth comes from.
What do you say to a young man when he's in the midst of trial and you're trying to cast that vision for him? How do you say that to him?
First thing I do, like I told you, first you got to recognize why the trial there. The trial can be there for a number of reasons. But God is still sovereign. So God's still allowing you to do this, to go through this at this time in your life. That was me. I recognize what God's still doing in their life. And therefore, their spiritually grows. So what I really do is, I don't know, the best part of my ministry is being able to lay beside a person. When you lay beside a person, you can just, don't give him his answers, but ask prominent questions that would lead him to his own answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be wanting to give him his answers so bad, yeah, because I love him. But you hurt yourself, you hurt them. Sometimes you got to let a man go through some things and just sit beside him without telling him I told you so. Because you know you already did tell him so.
That's a skill that it seems only comes with life experience, is learning how to act instead of answers.
Yeah.
Good reminder. Will you just share with our listeners what just kind of when Life My Way meets, and just end us with an invitation maybe to how to get involved or how to learn more about or come visit.
Okay. Let me do this too. Because Life My Way is like a holistic ministry. We do pre-incarceration and post-incarceration. Stop you going to jail and try to assimilate you back in society once you've been in jail. And we meet every Saturday right now. Every Saturday, we have a 3:00 dinner. But you can get there at 1:00 because I got different classes. I have budgeting classes and a group called Brother to Brother. We just sit down as men and talk the week out, the problems we had and how we solved them. And we have a women's group called Sister to Sister that's from 1 to 2. And from 2 to 3, we have a intriguing Bible study that I got some great teachers on the taught expository teaching. And they're going through the book of John. Now, from 3 to 4, we have what I call our community meal. Sit down and get some physical food. And I try to present food, not like incarceration food or bread, a jail food with limes and stuff. I have truly a dinner with people serving and salt and pepper shakers on the table. Yeah. So, get them comfortable and being able to live outside of institutionalization and homelessness, and make them feel some self-confidence. And then after I give them the physical food, we give them the spiritual food. My worship service is folded for like 5:30, and it's live every weekend. We have follow-up teams, we have discipling teams, men and women. But like I say, we got a holistic ministry. We try to prevent them from going to prison. But once they get in prison, I'm on the board of Paying in Full Oregon. Me and Judge Cole, I told you, we established Paying in Full Oregon. And right now we are in partnership with the Department of Corrections in Oregon and Corbin University. And we got a 4-year Bible college going inside of OSCSI in Salem. and we just graduated our second cohort. So the same thing that I was in, started in Louisiana with Northern Theological Seminary. God has graciously allowed me to participate and bring it up here in Oregon.
Yeah.
So we got us being pre-incarceration, and if they go to jail, we have paid in full. And when they come out, like my way, we do pre-incarceration, we do reentry, we assimilate you back into society to be a productive citizen. And a fire-burning, filled man of God, or woman
There
of
you
God.
go. There you go.
Amen.
There you go.
Or woman of God.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Clifford, it's just a real honor to spend time with you today and to hear and to know that we're in this together, that God called you to this place you had to look up on a map.
Yes.
So good that God called you and your wife here, and the ministry that you're doing, and the men and women that you're impacting. When I first learned about you and Light My Way, the thought that came to mind was, this is so needed. And in some ways it's so sad that it's needed, because there are more people who have it's on their record and have limitations on where they can go. There's people coming out of jail. So there's a tragedy in people's lives, but there's a hope in what you're leading and providing. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're modeling and challenging the rest of us to, and may what you're doing spread more and more across the region. Needed.
Thank you. And look, it's double thanks to what you both are doing. Like you said, we're in this thing together. We can't do it one without the other.
No.
Yep.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Jesus in the Upper Left. We want to ask you a quick favor. Would you please subscribe so you don't miss a single episode, and share with those that are in your life that might benefit from the content. Hit the notifications button, rate and review, of course, and then head on over to upperleftshow.com, where you can find bonus content, opportunities to connect with those around the city that are doing similar work as you, resources to help you, and just a way to connect to the community. We hope to see you again next time.